Okay, now we're going to talk about the next 100 points, which is music translation. Okay, you will encounter a need to bring a song into ASL other than the Star Spangled Banner or God Bless America. And so you need to have some idea how to do that, some experience and practice doing it. And ideally, we'd love for you to do a great, whiz-bang, fantastic job, or to have exposure to what that looks like, even if you end up not doing it. But we want to give you a shot. So, this is not easy. This takes some time to think about it. But let's build up success. So first, you should consider, let's go back to this document. Let's find some clean space on it. So, you get to choose your music. You should choose something, choose wisely. Music with a story. A visual story that people can imagine and that you can show in classifiers. Okay. Now, ideally, in the on-campus version of the class, we would have people interacting with each other and performing as a team. That really just can't realistically happen here. But what I'm talking about is that you would have 2 or 3 people working together, and I have some examples that I can link to in the module, where each has a different role. It might be a duet, it might be a multi-part Broadway musical piece. Those are wonderful things to work with for this instance where you have a team of people interacting together. And everybody's got a character, and you all do your parts and take turns and advance the story with your each line. If it's a well-written song, it advances the story as you go through it, rather than being something that just sounds cool and nobody knows what the words are, what they mean. So it should be something that you know what the story is, and maybe less important how singable it is, right? Oh, it's really cool. I like the musical part of this. Well, that's great and everything, but if it doesn't tell a story, the deaf experience of it isn't going to be the parallel experience to what you're having. You want something that's visual, visually entertaining, a visual component to it. What does that mean? Well, it should tell a story, and if it tells a parallel story to some aspect of the deaf experience, perhaps that means oppression, perhaps that means learning and discovering things and finding satisfaction in your own growth. It could be all kinds of things that have some kind of parallel to the deaf experience. And you should look at some deaf people's interpretations of music, because that often has a more interesting aspect to it than hearing people's interpretations. However, if you're going to choose a deaf artist's songs, such as Sean Forbes, right? Oops. Let's get Sean's name up here. So let's say that you look up Sean Forbes, and he's got plenty of videos on YouTube, and they're great. Those are his performances. And so doing a Sean Forbes song is stealing, basically, because he's already given you the ASL. If you have a different version of the signing than he does, I suppose that's okay, but he wrote that song and he wrote those lines. So I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for you to be the one who creates the ASL version, not to copy somebody else's ASL version. Another one is Signmark. He's got a number of ASL-based songs. There's somebody else that sings the lyrics in English, but he generates the lyrics in ASL. He wrote those lines. That work's already been done. Not very interesting as an assignment. So we're not looking at those. Let's put the cross hashes in that. And so that's not what we want. So because of the nature of this, you're going to be doing individual pieces. You need to be able to tell an individual story, or maybe a duet, and you would have to do both parts of the duet. And it should be some kind of interesting story that advances a plot. I don't want to detail that any further, but I mean, I suppose you can look at the samples, look at what other people have done, and and you can usually see what's more interesting. Now, what do you do with it? I want to see, show me the story. Whoops. Okay, that's good. But also, show me the music in some way. Now, there's one thing to bob back and forth to the rhythm of it, and that's about the most boring and least entertaining thing that you can do. Yeah, that's great, you've got rhythm. Well, what's generating the rhythm? Is there a bass guitar? Is it drums? Can you show me what the instruments are? Not just bobbing back and forth to the rhythm. In fact, I kind of don't want you to bob back and forth to the rhythm. So if there's a musical interlude, can you tell me what the instruments are that are doing it, and maybe a little bit of what's going on? You also have the right to edit things. So if a song starts with 30 seconds of music and nothing's going on, it's not very interesting for you to be standing there bobbing back and forth for 30 seconds while we wonder, are you going to do anything, or are we just watching you weave back and forth with no purpose to your actions? So you might just start the song at an interesting point. And maybe if it just fades out, maybe we just kind of cut it off and you give me the interesting parts. So it's very open-ended. The idea is that you accomplish some of these goals. Let's take a look. So we need a, let's see, we need 25 points for each song, total 75 points, and then a 25 points. Oops, that's the next project. So what's it going to be here? I need you to choose 3 songs that are different in their nature. So show me different approaches to how you want to work with the music, different kinds of music, different stories. Now you could maybe take things that progress in an overall cohesive story, like you could take 3 songs from the same musical, and different characters' stories are advanced and progressed in the song. But I'm not expecting that you have a complete story from the beginning to the end in 3 songs. That's unrealistic, although I know it's possible, and there might be some things that come to mind. And if you want to pursue that, that's great. But I'm looking at different kinds of content and different kinds of music, and therefore a different challenge for each song. So generate that as best as you can, and submit them for feedback. And then we'll figure out, probably will just move it into, okay, this one seemed the most promising, let's do a second version of this one. You've given me 3 audition pieces, and I say, let's fine-tune this one for a portfolio quality final version. And then that will be reassessed for another 25 points. So there you go. That's the idea of the music. It should be fun. It should be interactive. It should be engaging your thought process. And one of the best ways to make sure that this is interesting is, when you've done a sample, turn the music off and see if it's visually engaging and entertaining. And if it's just you weaving back and forth and throwing some vocabulary out there, that's probably not very interesting. So that's the test. If you're looking at a video and you can understand the story without the music being on, and not even, especially if you don't even know for sure what the song is ahead of time, if you never heard the song or you're not sure which song it is, right? When you're looking at samples, turn the music off on your first viewing. If it's not visually engaging, you don't need to turn the sound up. Go on to the next video. You get the idea. You've got it. You'll be great.